Warning: the Gel Blaster toy shown in this video could be mistaken for a real firearm. Do not take gel blasters into public spaces or it will likely be treated as real by authorities. Gel blasters are classified as toys in Queensland regulations, however this may be different in your state or territory. Be sure to check your local laws before buying or ordering a gel blaster. Also, ensure you use adequate eye protection whenever using gel blasters. Stay safe, everyone.
Alright, welcome back into the studio, boys and girls. So, going to go straight back into another blaster review. If you saw my recent channel chat videos, you'll understand what I'm doing there. I'm trying to cut down the review time by putting in all that information in separate videos. So, without further ado, we shall get into it. And today we are going to be looking at the RX, or Renjiang, AKM47 Gel Blaster. Now this Gel Blaster, when it first came out, there was a lot of hype around it and whatnot. The main reasons being, one, the actual design of it is very reminiscent of an actual imitation version of the real thing. The other reason is it had a lot of interesting stuff that they were advertising about the gearbox. The one thing that tends to get a lot of people's attention though is that it has a recoil blowback. So this, when firing, would actually move backwards and forwards to give you a kick, so an imitation recoil. Now, my opinions on that I'll get to later on. It's basically to me, it's just a gimmick. I've done all the testing and everything will be with that working. However, after the review, when I keep this, I'm going to take all that out because I don't want that causing extra drain on batteries, motors, that sort of thing. But I'll get to that later. One thing I do like about this is it is definitely a step up in a lot of ways of quality. However, it has also got a lot of attention around it because when they first released them, they actually had a lot of them released with metal gears and 11.1 volt battery standard, or you could get this one, which is nylon gears with a 7.4 volt battery. That's the one I'm looking at today. And a lot of Metal Gear ones failed. They had problems with them. Now, I have a few theories as to why, and a couple of bit of information that's been given to me as to why that is, but ultimately these things have a not good reputation at the moment, especially because when they first came out, a lot of people were charging a very high price for them because of all the features. So be aware of that going into this, that there is a reputation amongst these to have problems. However, we'll get into the review, we'll keep going with it, we'll figure out what we can as we go. So the first bit we're going to jump into, obviously section 1, close-up look. So, first things first, it does have a good bit of weight to it. However, most of the weight is at the back, so it is still fairly simple to move around. Feels good to shoulder. Line sights look alright, and it is alright to grip onto. Something to note on this one is it's very long, so yeah, that's out of frame. So yeah, this thing is quite a long boy. Be very aware of that. It's not like most of your M4s and whatnot, which are fairly self-contained in their actual length, so something to note there. We'll get straight into the business end. Now you do have a front iron sight section there. Well, it would be a gas tube in the actual real world thing, and the outer barrel here, which is still plastic. However, contained within that, on the end of this blue tip that you can see here, I'll try and see if I can show you, if hopefully you can see that, there is actually a metal barrel, inner barrel in there, so it's not just a plastic barrel like most of the JM stuff, which is a good thing. The only other side of that though I have heard is that when it's pulled apart, that barrel is about 43 centimeters long, which is a bit too long. Sort of takes some of the power out of it, but I digress. Moving further along, you do have the front handguard, hand grip section. Now, this does come standard with just plates in there, not these rails, so it just looks like the faux wood grip. You can replace those plates with these ones with the rails. I've done that because I'm always going to chuck extra stuff on top. The other side is that wood grain there. It is just plastic with a pattern on it. It is not actual wood. Apparently you can get wood panels for it, but I'm not interested in spending that sort of money. So be aware of that. That is fake. Very slippery too, especially with sweat and whatnot. You're going to have that issue long term, especially if you're skirmishing with this thing, which is what I do. Moving further along, up along the top, you do have a rail from here to here. However, you don't actually have a rail all the time. So, as standard, you do actually get it with this top cover on there. So it's just a smooth plastic top cover, cheap, light, it's nothing special. However, they do give you the option in the box for this one with the long rail. And now I've put that on because obviously I want that rail. So that is very simple to replace. You just simply push that in, the whole thing slides back out. Very nice. The fact that they're including that sort of thing, to me, is definitely a big bonus. Now, moving further along, you do have the back end of the iron sights. Now, it is blue. You'll see a couple of different blue bits, such as the trigger, mag release, that, and the front end that you would have seen the muzzle. Now, this is designed in this style of a rifle where you can move that forward and it would pick up the elevation for if you were shooting long range. Again, gel blaster, utterly pointless, but it's cool that it's there, I suppose. I mean, beyond that, it's nothing else. It does seem to be pretty good for just sighting up, but again, sights on these things are somewhat limited in use. The receiver, now, the receiver body is actually quite hard. I believe it's a plastic, however I'm not quite sure what kind of plastic, as it is quite solid. Just there, that lower receiver section, which is nice. It is definitely firm. Something else I'll show you is up close. This here is the blowback or the shell eject port, that sort of thing, whatever you want to call it. Moving slide. And this here is your fire select. Now up full there is safe. If you go down there to that first mark, that's semi-automatic or single shot. Down there is fully automatic to the bottom. So the way that these are designed to work on an AK is that you should be able to flip your hand up and move them down and then go back down. At least that's the intent. Obviously, they are going to work to a certain extent. It is only on one side. There is absolutely nothing on the other side. The actual trigger guard just here is metal. It's not plastic. Trigger is fairly decent. It is that blue one just there. However, it is still plastic. Same with the pistol grip. It is again that faux wood stuff right there. And it is smooth too. So it's actually really bad if you're running around and sweating. I do recommend gloves with this one unless you do something there to make that a bit more grippy. Moving on, you do also get a sling attachment on the left-hand side of the blaster, just there on the inside. And on the front end, you have another one. However, this one's plastic, whereas the one at the back is metal. So you can run a sling off that if you wish, and it would sit like that. Or in this case, it would actually sit like that because this is there. But anyway, the last bit at the end is the buttstock, and we all like a bit of booty. I'm no exception. Once again, it is that faux wood style that you've seen there. There's a couple of markings from the factory. That's about it. It does, however, screw on there and also in the back, so it is quite firm on there. When you first get this, you have to push that on and drill it in because the box it comes in is only about that long. So this is actually an add-on. You do have plastic. You do have a plastic bit at the back there with a couple of screws holding in that butt pad. It is solid plastic. It's not exactly comfortable, but it does the job. So that is the blaster. Ultimately, I do like it. Now, if you need to replace the battery or do anything like that, there's something else that this blaster comes with, which I think is a great move and a great step up over the standard. So with that, we'll jump into section 2 and the basic operations. Alrighty then, so basic operations. Something they've done with this blaster that I absolutely love, and I reckon that they all need to do it, it makes a lot of this stuff very simple. You don't necessarily need to watch this video to figure out how to do it. And that is this wonderful little sheet just here. It's color printed with photos and instructions that are very clear. Also, they are mainly Chinese, but under each one is an English translation telling you how to do everything you should be able to or should need to do with this thing over time. So the first thing it tells you how to do is how to put on the front end guards, that sort of thing, in the basics. It also tells you how to install the batteries, how to change your panels on the front if you want your Picatinny rails, and a whole bunch besides if you want to remove or disassemble it. This thing teaches you how to strip the entire blaster down to just a gearbox and pieces, and then how to put it back together. That right there is gold marks, 10 out of 10. That should be in every single blaster at this point. So hopefully that trend continues, because that I love. English instructions, heaps of pictures to show how to do it. Very good. However, we'll go through it. So battery installation is the first thing. The battery actually lives up here, unlike most blasters where it lives in the buttstock, that sort of thing, circa your M4 styles or ACR. It actually lives up here in the top part of this handguard, just here. Now, in order to get to it, this little catch here is not actually a switch. You just simply have to rotate it. So I'll try and get that somewhere where you can see it. You rotate it all the way up, and when you do that, what it's actually doing is in there, it's actually lifting that little guard up out of the way. So that's now open. What that allows you to do is pull up and remove that entire top handguard, and there is your battery case there. Now, it's not the biggest area to fit a battery. Something else that you probably noticed is, at least on mine, I don't know if this is standard across the board, the gel connection is actually the same as the chargers. So that's normally the bit that you would plug into a charger to charge this battery. However, that's what's actually on the blaster. I don't know. I'm very strange. It's very strange to me. I'm very curious as to why that is. Now, like I said, that's this one, so mine. If that's the case with yours, let me know. If it's not the case with yours, then again, let me know, because I'm very curious whether or not they did this specifically for a certain batch, or maybe this one just happens to be weird for some reason. I don't know. Let me know in the comments below. Now, simply enough, to put this on, you just put the front end back in over the top of that little mock gas block, and then push it down into place. It should slot straight in between the front of that iron sights. Hold it down, pull that back, and you're now good to go. There is no on-off switch on this. The only switch is your fire select. So safe, you can't pull the trigger back. That's how it's safe. Put it down to there. Oh no, still can't fire. Now, why is that? Well, I have no battery, no magazine in, so it ain't going to work. This I actually do like. It's a bit of realism and whatnot, and a bit of gimmick, but it's still, to me, it's a cool one. This actually will not fire without a magazine in it, irrespective of everything else, unless you bypass the original setup. So, with that, let's jump into the magazine. Now, the magazine, nylon, nothing special. It is quite large. So I might just quickly grab So this is the ACR Jinming J10 ACR magazine, which is quite large, and yeah, the AK is well and truly beaten up. One thing I've always liked about AKs is that they seem to have massive magazines. Do love me a good magazine. So this one's fairly straightforward. Now, unlike the ACR one, the whole thing doesn't pull apart necessarily. However, you can actually pull the core out of this. I've been told that that is actually a copy off an airsoft design for mag maintenance and replacing skins and whatnot. You can simply push that in, and this front entire section, middle section of the magazine should be able to come out. I haven't done that with this because I don't want to break it. That's pretty much it. At the top, you do have your contacts. It is automatic, so don't go tipping water into this. It'll destroy your motor. Just so you have a little catch that stops the gels falling out. Pull that back if you want to empty it out, and they should all fall out. Obviously, I've already cleaned this. Little door on the back there. Open that up, and that's where you can feed your gels. Pretty straightforward, really. I do like a good magazine. So, in order to put this on, if you have a look at the front of that magazine there is actually a loop and hook into that. So you can't just jam it in like every other blaster. You do actually have to put some effort into it. Now, what that is you get the magazine, you put it in like that, hook it on, and then pivot back. And that's it. The reason is, if you just try to jam it in, you can get the clip on, but it won't actually go in. And then that just comes out. So make sure, hook in, pull forward, or push forward in this case, and then pull the magazine back towards it, and it'll clip into place. Just like that. Now that it's in there, let's go off safe. Still won't fire. What is this? This is the last little gimmick they put in. Every time you replace the magazine, you have to reset it so it can actually start cycling. How do you do that? Pull that back to about halfway, let it go, and it should fire. And there's your little recoil in action. Just get that down there. So yeah, obviously I can't translate feel onto camera, but we will get there. Single shot or semi-auto. That's about it. And that honestly is it. For the basic operations of this blaster, that's it. There's not really a lot to it. It's fairly straightforward once you actually get it. If you start pulling it apart on it, it's a different story. Now, the gearbox that's in it, I've seen it pulled out. It is actually the same sort of gearbox that the Wells G36 V2 had, which I believe is a V3 AEG design. So be aware of that. It is not a Gen 8 or a V2 style. Whether you want to call that Gen 9 or Gen 10, whatever, I don't care. Irrespective, really, it's not a V2 style or a Gen 8 style. It is a V3 AEG style is what I've been told and what I've seen. So take note of that. The only other things I'll mention about this blaster before we move on is the feel. If it wasn't for the faux wood, this would feel a lot better. What I'm probably going to do with mine long term is paint these with a rubberized black so it has a bit more synthetic feel and has a bit more grippiness. But beyond that, I might do the blue sections, but I honestly don't mind. So it's not really the biggest loss for me. That's pretty much it. Like, it's fairly straightforward in reality. I do like it though, despite all of the issues. So, one thing, however, is the barrel length. Now, because the barrel's so long, the cylinder compression and volume of air that it's actually pushing out is still the same as most of your other blasters, but you've got a much longer barrel. So over that draw, you are losing a lot of your power. I think from what like Guido said, 35 centimeters seems to be about the sweet spot for being right. Now, that can translate to a loss of power on these. However, let's set up the Chrono, we'll put it through a few times, and we'll see if this is actually going to be down on power compared to some of the benchmarks that we've got behind us. You never know. Alrighty then, so I've loaded this up with hardened milkies, hardened whites, hardened milkies, whatever you want to call them. So, let's see how she does. This is a very long boy. Would help if I took it off safe. So, seem to be averaging a touch over 200. A few of those first ones there just had an issue because of the way I have this Chrono set up. I'll just see if I can adjust that now, and hopefully that fixes that problem. We'll see how that goes. So what we'll do now, I'll just quickly chuck it into full auto, just to see if there's any real variation. Shouldn't be, but let's be thorough. So yeah, nah, touch over 200. It's not half bad. Like, a stock Gen 9 M4 is definitely doing more than that, and I would say that that is entirely because of the longer barrel as opposed to any other major influencing factor. Of course, I could be wrong there, but I don't believe that I am. So what I'm actually going to do is, because when we were out at the field playing with this the other day, if you saw that Instagram video, you would have seen some of that hilarity. What I'm going to do is I'm going to chuck some hardened oranges in it and try that, because they seem to go better when we're out in the field. So I want to see if there is actually a notable increase, in which case we'll know exactly what type of ammo you really want to use through these. But let's have a look. So, just reloaded this magazine with hardened oranges. Once again, reloaded the magazine, got to pull that back, otherwise it won't fire. I'll just quickly clear it out. Yeah, it looks like what's coming out is now orange. Alright, so we'll go to full semi-automatic, full semi-automatic. Nah, semi-automatic fire first. Seems to be an increase there. So, there is definitely an increase. Yeah, we got a much higher average. So ignore that average there, that's taking into account outliers. But I think your average there is between 220 and 230 realistically. So let's say 225 to be conservative. That is a decent increase over what it was, which I believe the average previously was around 202. So we'll say 200 conservatively. Well, my advice, I would run hardened oranges through this. You're going to get that little bit more FPS out of it. So there's a few reasons I could speculate as to why that is, but at the end of the day, you just got to make sure that you use the right balls when you're blasting people in the face. I really got to come up with better lines than this. Or not, I mean, you know. So yeah, hardened oranges, there they go with this one. Alright, it's already night time now, so I can't run outside and do your accuracy testing and mag empty test. Mag empty test is going to take a while because not only is it 7.4 volt battery, like I said, but bigger mags because AK. So yeah, that's not going to surprise me at all. But yeah, tomorrow when the sun's up, I'll go out the back. I've got a brand new target to shoot at too, so I'll get to show you that. Also see how the scope cam or the zoom cam handles the recoil on this thing. I'm speculating it's not going to be very good. If that's the case, I'll set up the GoPro again. If it seems to work okay, then we'll go with it. Be interesting to find out. Let's find out together. Alright, so fully loaded up with hardened oranges. Going to be using oranges for the rest of this, considering they are a bit of an increase over FPS on the whites. Let's get going. First, 10 meters. Got a brand new target. Those crosshairs are about 35 by 35 centimeters across, so that should give you an indication of dispersion. $10 it's not too bad. Occasional one is going wide or high, but not too bad. Let's go to 20 meters. So I am having to put the iron sights at about the top of that black section. It is having to lean up a little bit. That long barrel I think is really letting us down. Other than that, it's not too bad over 20 meters, so all in all, could be better, not too bad. Let's go for the mag empty. Once again, full of hardened oranges. Yep, she's empty. Just want to stress, 7.4 volt battery, not the 11.1.
So far the AKM is definitely good in build quality, at least it looks from the outside and the externals. It looks really cool, definitely does look good. Seems to handle pretty well, all things considered. Is a bit down on power compared to some standards, but it's still not all that bad, and I think it would be easy enough to get past that if you really tried. The big one, though, obviously with these, is their reputation for failing. Now, I'll get to that towards the end. This time, though, we'll jump into Section 4 with some gameplay videos, so you can have a look at how it goes out the field. Once again, this was out at the Beecher field with CQ Blasters, so I hope you guys enjoy this one, and let's get into it.
I couldn't see him when he banged me. Oh. Yeah. Angus, I couldn't actually see you when you banged me. Yeah. Hello.
Oh, nasty. Connected. Hey, mate.
Oh, hit. And run back. Oh.
No one's pushed up, so you're pretty safe. Oh.
Woo. Woo. This recoil is annoying. Hit.
Oh, mixed.
Ugh. Apparently he is.
Oh, good shot, Stuart.
Got him again. He's gonna hate me.
I just got one right here.
I'll give you credit. Whoa, shit! It. Oh, I don't really want to run as much anymore. Welcome to your conception! I got someone! I'm happy. Oh no, they shake you. Like, look. Oh.
The flag has been dropped by the way in the middle.
I don't think anyone really cares about the flag right
Cody, what's your ride?
Oh no!
Come on, man. Oh, hit.
So I hope that gameplay footage helped showcase how fun and also somewhat annoying this blaster can be when playing in a skirmish field with it. Fortunately at the start there I had Angus up at the wall, got close, and as he called bangers when I was behind the wood, I didn't actually see him when he called it, so I shot his arm out the side, and yeah, well, mistakes happen. One of those things you just got to deal with and move on. So, moving on into the final thoughts, or section 5, depending on how you want to look at it. So, ultimately, I do actually like the blaster. Like, it may seem strange, but I am enjoying it. It's nice to have an AK, something that's not an M4. It seems to work fairly well. Could definitely use some modification for me to keep it long term, because ultimately this is my blaster, so I'm going to do a couple things to it. One thing I'm probably going to do to it is shorten the outer and inner barrel down to where the gas tube section comes down and put a hop up on it, and hopefully that'll give me a bit more FPS as well. I'm also going to take the whole recoil weight system out of it, because all that's going to do is put extra strain on the motor and on the spring and all the gears, and I believe from what I've been told that it's that which has actually caused a lot of them to have problems. So it's like amplifying or putting a massive spring in, basically, because of the amount of weight you're throwing in. You're just going to shred something. So I'm going to take that out for longevity. I will definitely see how long it lasts, if I have any other issues going forward, and I'll let you guys know. Because while I am enjoying it, and I do have a couple other people, like Lieutenant Dan has one, one of the other fellas there has one, I really can't recommend this one to you. If you want to get it, be very aware of its reputation. They have had a reputation of breaking. Everything I've seen, the 7.4 nylon versions have been much safer because they're not as powerful or as crazy. So if you're going to buy one, I recommend buying one of those. They're also significantly cheaper rather than the metal 11.1 volt versions. But yeah, I would not buy this unless you had some idea on how to fix it if it does break. And if you do buy it, make sure you keep your receipt. It's as simple as that, because you can still get refund and whatnot if it's defective. And some of these things have been defective. Now, there's a lot of talk about the fact that they've been getting fixed and they're not the same. They're not as unreliable as they are. They don't break as often, that sort of thing. Ultimately, I can't tell you that one way or the other. I know the reputation. They had a reputation before they even landed in the country, so be very aware of that. Because of those reasons, I cannot recommend you buy this. If you do wish to buy it, you will find it fun. However, I would stick to those points that I mentioned. Get 7.4 version, not the 11 metal version. Don't try and do anything silly to it. Take the recoil mechanism out of it, because it's only going to cause problems in the long run. And yeah, if you're not sure on pulling it apart and actually potentially having to fix it yourself, it might be safer just to avoid it entirely, because they're still not cheap. They are one of the more expensive blasters out there. Really sucks, because there's a lot of stuff about this I do like. So be aware of that. That's my position on that one. If you do end up buying one, recommended accessories I would get would be at least one extra mag. For most skirmishes, 2 will probably do. So 3 mags total, or even just 2 mags total, you should be fine, because they do last quite a while, especially again you're only 7.4 volt battery, so fire rate is not crazy. The other thing is, if you can get a hop up, definitely, because it's down on FPS, you really need something to extend that range. It is a significant less accuracy and distance over some of the blasters that come with a standard FPS rate of like 280, such as in the Wells case, so be aware of that one. That is definitely a hindrance for that. Modifying it, like I said, if you do buy it, I would take that recoil mechanism out of it straight away. Just take it out and be done with it. Simple as that. But that is mine, so that is my position ultimately. If you want to do it because it's cool, then that's up to you. And that's about it on that blaster. So I hope you guys enjoyed that review. It was definitely good to get back into it, and it was a lot of fun definitely doing this. 1,000 subscriber video will be very soon. I'm actually in the middle of putting it together, so it'll hopefully be out the next day or two. Yeah, we'll see how I go on that one, but thank you again for that. If you would like to support the channel, help me get some stuff and make sure I can get blasters to do reviews on and whatnot, you can donate to the channel through either PayPal or Buy Me a Coffee, and links to those are both in the description below. You can do either one-offs, or you can set up monthly subscription donations, whatever you wish. Now, like I said in the channel chat video, these donations are 100% optional. If you don't want to donate anything to me, that is fine. I'm not going to withhold any content from you because of that, so don't be worried that I'm going to go and start throwing that out to you. It'll simply mean that I can get more stuff done for you guys ultimately and get more into it, which is what I want to continue doing. Other than that, if you like the video, feel free to drop a like. If you've got any thoughts, put them down in the comments below. I'd love to hear your opinions on this blaster and whether or not it's something you've bought or you're interested in buying. Definitely, let's keep the conversation going. And with that, I will catch you next time.